All right, it's 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item is audience of citizens. Is there anybody that has anything to say? Hearing nothing, we'll move on. Okay, approval of minutes, November 12th, 2025, regular meeting. Okay, there is, under audience of citizens, there should be a correction for a name. Is there a motion? Has everybody read that?
I make a motion that we accept those.
Correct. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, unfinished business. See anything at the moment? We can just turn that to. Okay, new business. A, consider an act on the Board of Selectmen bus purchase proposal. Right. And there's a whole packet on a Bluebird bus.
Neil, what I would like to do is introduce Hunter, mechanic, and he'll give you the spiel on the buses, if that's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Go ahead, Hunter.
fine.
So we're considering replacing, or we'd like to replace a 71 passenger bus. We took two bids, one from International and one from Bluebird. The Bluebird was $145,952, and the International was $141,340. We did buy two Internationals the last time around, and the reason being for that was they were about 14,000 and change cheaper, and when you're buying two, that was a considerable amount to save. But this time around, considering we're buying one, we would like to get the Bluebird. It's easier to work on. The drivers seem to like it better, and we've had a few issues with the Internationals, and they've had to go back to New Britain, which is the service facility for them when they're under warranty, which is a big deal. And it's kind of a hassle to get them all the way out to New Britain to get work done. And the Bluebird would only come from Providence, which is a lot more convenient. We normally get a new surveillance system, which is anywhere in the ballpark of about $6,000 onto the cost of the bus. But instead of doing that this time around, we would like to remove the current system, which is not that old because all the buses were updated, I believe, about 6-7 years ago. So just remove the cameras and the hard drive and replace the cables that connect them to the hard drive. And that would be $419.50. And then I will transfer the two-way radio out of the old bus into the new bus when it is purchased. And we are going to be getting rid of a 2010 Thomas that has 180,000 miles. It's still in service. We're still going to continue to use it until the arrival of the new bus or a costly issue happens, whatever it happens. And when it's time to get rid of it, there was some interest in town about the last two buses, about where they were going. And I know someone in town had reached out to the salesman and purchased them from that salesman. But this one, I think, considering the interest, we'll just do sealed bid down to garage since we only got 800 a piece last time around for them. So we'll just dispose of it that way. We did not do Freightliner. We didn't bid Freightliner because I think it was 2 years ago. I have that information in the folder, but we had agreed to purchase Freightliners and we waited, I don't know, 3 or 4 months into that bid process, into the building process, and we got a phone call that they ran out of seatbelts on the assembly line, so they were unable to make our buses. So we've got, whatever it was, 3 or 4 months into waiting on those buses, then had to rebid and go with someone else. So we chose not to go with a Freightliner just because of that bad experience we had with them that time around. So that's why there's just Bluebird International on here. That's about it. Nothing crazy on the buses, it's a standard 71 passenger, no options, hydraulic brakes, on diesel. Nothing really special to talk about on the bus. Unless there's any questions about the bus.
I would have a couple questions if I can ask.
Yeah.
On the bus that we currently are trying to replace, it's a 2010 Thomas, right?
Yep.
What is, so it would maybe a new visible to finance, right? I haven't followed along 100%. What's the repair that has been most needed right now that is causing us to look at, like, are you talking engine, transmission, is it
No,
rotting?
it's not really we wait till repair to get rid of a bus, it's more of a tradition annual type thing. Where once they hit about 170 and 15 years old is kind of the one we consider to get rid of them. So it's more or less looking at the numbers and the miles and what's needed.
Is there a reason why that you wait until 175,000 to get rid of them?
That's the way it's always been since I've taken over.
Do they break down after that amount with mileage?
You know, that's a good question. That's one thing I've always liked to look into with the repairs is maybe do a graph on them and see what they actually are, because I don't know. That's just tradition. We've always done 170 and 15's been the number. So.
One thing I've understood, or that, one thing that has been stated a number of times in the past is that after a certain point, the DOT inspections get a lot stricter and, you know, there's more eyes on things, I suppose. And that's part of the reason, or that's my understanding.
Yes, rust starts to become an issue down the road. 15 years is when you can start seeing the rust pile up on them. They have gotten a little bit better over the years with the undercoating on them than they have been, you know, the last probably 20, 30 years. And some states, we're not one of them, but it's something to consider when it comes to the safety, is some states won't let you run buses after a certain year. So, I mean, it's considered in some states where you can't run it past a certain year, but we're allowed to as a really safe type thing.
I do have another question. As far as the Bluebird, right? So, the International and the Bluebird, it seems like those are the two that we're trying to go for.
Yep.
That doesn't seem to me personally a huge cost difference, right? So I guess at that point, it's kind of, you know, there. I guess I would ask is, what is you said it was easy to work on the Bluebird and closer for the facility for the warranty. How long is the warranty on the new buses?
Oh,
Do you have that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe I have that somewhere. I believe it's 5 years on the body. So they're component vehicles, they're heavy duty vehicles, so like the axles are made by someone, the transmission's made by someone, the engine's made by someone, and the body is made by International. So say that's it. So like the body has a 7-year warranty. No, the body has a 5-year warranty, I believe, and I think it's hand in hand both brands. I believe it's 7 on the body, and that would be considered like the HVAC, the air conditioning and things like that. And then it's 7, I believe, on the engine and transmission and the emission system on the new ones. I believe that's the same brand to brand. I don't think there's anything really different.
And they cover it basically 100% on everything, or is it? The reason I'm asking all these questions is, you know, it's obviously it's a considerable amount.
Yeah, to a point they cover it. You know, obviously they're not gonna cover misuse. Like one of the ones that we had, we did have a misuse with the operation of one of the electric doors and it caused the motor to break. Obviously, they're not gonna cover that. You know, it's if someone broke something from not knowing how to operate it. And that's another thing too with the IC bus, the International bus. I believe they were cheaper the last time around because it was a full redesign of the bus. It's kind of it's a totally different look. It's just different. It's not conventional for right now. Now, it's probably not gonna be long before Bluebird does that update too. But as of right now, there's a little bit of a learning curve to use those 2 International buses for the drivers. So that's another thing to consider, and I believe that is probably why the prices were a little cheaper last time around, is kind of, hey, we got a new model, we'll introduce you to it, and then they try to get you switched to it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. So one last question, sorry. Is there any tax benefits that when we buy a new bus, have we looked into that with the rep at all, or is there any like, any way that we can, any rebates or anything like that?
No, so a diesel bus, there's no rebates, nothing. I know there's grants and stuff out there right now for electric and propane. But that is changing every year so far on what the mandates are gonna be, and I just feel it's too early for any decision to be made on that, on which way to go with fuel or electric, because you and I had this discussion 2 years ago, it was 35, and I think now we're pushed all the way back to 40, and then some people are saying it's gonna go back to 35, depending on your population, and it's just all over the board right now, what needs to be done, so it's just too early to make a decision.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we vote for Bluebird.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So voted. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report.
I talked to the treasurer, just before she left. She's got nothing to report tonight.
Oh, good news.
Yeah. Until the budget season starts, right? Then we'll be seeing her again.
A little more off.
Yeah, a little bit.
Any questions or comments on the treasurer's report? And moving on to item C, the revenue collector's report.
The same thing on that, Neil. She had nothing to report tonight.
Okay. So we're doing okay on collections.
That's a very good for last year.
All right, other questions? Move on to item D, selectmen's report.
The only thing I have, Neil, is I made one purchase in the 3 weeks that I've been here, and that was a new snowplow. I had talked to Hunter. We had one that was very, very old, and he said he's been, well, Hunter, you said, how much money have you been putting into that snowplow?
Not so much putting money into it, but it's the fact that it's probably a mid-90s model. If I had to guess, there's really no date code on the snowplow. And it was actually on the old international truck, I believe, that went out, which was, again, a 90s model. And the problem is not so much the plow itself, it's getting parts for it. So if that thing broke in a snowstorm, you can't get the parts. And that's the biggest deal. So the plow is still functional and it works. And it's a backup snowplow, which we did not have. So now we have a new one, but one that you can still get parts for, and then the old backup. So we all felt it was time to replace that 30-year-old snowplow.
Yeah, that decision was made by the board of selectmen to purchase a new one.
And what was the cost on that?
96.
Yes,
96. 9,600.
$96. That'd be the bargain of the century.
What was it? I didn't hear the price.
$9,600.
Oh,
Anything else, Jack?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, item 7A, right, welcoming David Mallow to the board. Thank you for running, thank you for, putting your name in the hat and also for winning. And we hope you can contribute for the remainder of your sentence. Sure.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, thank you.
Sure. And also like to welcome back Pete Rabbit, congratulations on his win last month. And your input's been more than welcome, we hope that certainly continues. Did, or has everybody gotten the handbook? Okay.
is this renewal from the
No,
previous?
no, this is still Lincoln Main.
Okay,
As far, at least I don't see any revision date on it or anything. It would be nice if they would update it, but there was some, or there was a meeting with, I believe it was somebody from CCM, the conference in municipalities. And they're working on updating something and having a Zoom meeting or something for so that people can ask questions or whatever. They are looking into, getting better information and whatnot. We're just not sure when that's gonna happen. Some of the stuff that's in there, obviously, is very dated, like some of the amounts I'm certain have been changed, like, with, like, you have to have a town meeting, something over $5,000 or something like that. That's kind of an old number. I don't think that quite qualifies anymore. But for, in general, David, this is partly for you, because the others have probably heard me say this. One of the things that I think on the Board of Finance, not everybody's here, but I think I can say safely that, and I've been on the Board of Finance for many years, and one of the things is that we've all been able to work together, and we don't care about the letter after somebody's name. We've all been able to, talk about things and discuss things, and we may not necessarily agree, but we all want what's the best in the town. Fortunately, we've also had good boards of selectmen, that don't ask for, pie in the sky or whatever. And we've also been blessed with a number of good iterations of the Board of Education. So and one of the things that has helped are the tri-board meetings that we've had, over the last 10 or 15 years, whatever it is. So that all the boards are on the same page as far as, what's going on in town and what expenses we have. So I think that's been a real plus to keeping politics out of things in town and being able to work together regardless of, who said what or who voted for who, what have you. Neil Cook put it really, really well, and the purpose of the board is to act as the guardians of the taxpayers' money in town, and we try to spend it as wisely and as efficiently as we can. And we may not always get it right, but we're just amateur, but we certainly try.
I 100% agree with that.
Any questions or any other comments? Maybe more regarding that next one, Bob, maybe you thought of something else. If there's anything else, okay, item D, consider and act upon new board of finance officers for the 2026 year. Since the whole board isn't here, I would rather not have elections tonight. I think we should push it off for at least until the next meeting, until we can get a full meeting. That's my opinion. If anybody else disagrees, please say so.
no, I agree with you.
Okay, then can we have a motion to
Make a motion.
okay, okay, Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be the magic motion.
You got it.
Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Oh,